This is a podcast or something like that. Hello and welcome. Hello and Qualcomm. Qualcomm. Hello and Qualcomm. That's right. This is a subtle investment tip to invest in Qualcomm. I think that's good company to go invest in. All right. Is that the only sponsored bit we have for today? Hold on, let me check. Yeah, okay. And Raytheon, looking for supplies for the new school year? Shop at raytheon.com for all your school and alternative needs. All right, thank you, and welcome to the Verbal Journal Podcast, episode 65. That's right, the big 65. We are no longer 64, and the Beatles do not write any songs about 65-year-olds. So we are on our own here, and that's not great. That's not great. I'm feeling abandoned. I'm feeling squandered. I'm feeling, no, that's it. That's all I'm feeling. Thank you for joining, I guess. I don't particularly care. I mean, thank you's not the right way to put it. How do I say this? That's interesting that you're listening to this. I guess that's what I mean to say. It's interesting that you're listening to this. So thank you for doing something interesting, so I can kind of consider it, because I love considering interesting things. It's Sunday, early afternoon, and life is good in some sense, or you just have to believe that. Things in the world are not always good, but you just have to say life is good just to kind of keep the spirit alive, So in theory, life is good. In practice, it's a little bit more complicated, I guess we could say. NBA playoffs are going on. I don't watch the NBA, but I was told I'm supposed to say that. No, one thing I do find interesting about the NBA, I was talking about with March Madness on the podcast. I was talking about how it was the triumph of the collective over the individual this year, where the teams with the star player would lose. Like, I forget who the men's star guy was, but it was like the huge guy on Purdue. Yeah, the huge guy, Zach something, or I forget. Yeah, it was like he's this like amazing player. And then for the women, Caitlin Clark, of course, and she didn't win. Her team didn't win. So I was saying it's the triumph of the collective over the individual. And in the NBA, we saw that again because the Nuggets with the MVP, what is it? Is it the third time in a row MVP? Jokic, Nikola Jokic? Is it Nikola? I don't know his first name. Yeah, Nikola Jokic, amazing player, like unbelievable. And his team lost. I mean, it's not a great sort of point to make. I guess the point I'm making is that this year is the year of the collective, because obviously the Nuggets won the championship last year and the year before, so it's not like a big, it's not. This isn't a long-term pattern. This has just been starting. So I'm reporting on the cusp of this pattern, so you can kind of invest early. So leaving today, you'll invest in Qualcomm and also collectives over individuals as a concept. Okay, so just write that down. All right, just paused and put on a sound screen. What are these called? Fucking audio screens? Wind screens? Screens? I thought I wouldn't need it. I always put it on, but today I was like, nah, I don't need it. I don't know why. And then I listened back and I was like, oh yeah, right. I forgot that it's a real problem. You know what I mean? Because I say words with the letter P in it a lot. That's one thing people know about me. It's one of my defining features. So welcome to the Verbal Journal Podcast today. So we talk about the collective, talk about the individual. Word of the day, I didn't have one, so Didn't have one prepared. Well, I never have them prepared, actually. So one will probably come to me. What about squandered? That was a word earlier. Should we say squandered? I like that word. Okay, word of the day is squandered. So, yeah. Obviously, you know what it means. I guess, is the word of the day supposed to be a word that, like, people don't know? Or is it just supposed to be an interesting word? So, squandered, maybe we could look at the background of it. Hold on. So, squandered etymology. Sorry. I forgot to mention. It's a standing episode. That's why you couldn't hear me as I typed it in, because I had to lean down. Because I'm standing, because honestly I had more neck pain and back pain, and I think it might be better to just stand a bit more and try to minimize my sitting for a day or two. Anyway, so squander is origin late 16th century of unknown origin. That's not an origin. Let's go to a different website. Wiktionary. Wiktionary. Never even knew that's what it was. Earliest use is late 16th century to spend recklessly or prodigiously, and to scatter over a wide area of unknown origin, perhaps a blend of scatter and wander. Holy shit, are you fucking kidding me? Compare with Danish skvalte, rare, skvate, to splash, nominalized skvate. Icelandic skveta, to squirt. Icelandic skveta. It sounds like you're saying sweater. Put on your skveta. Swedish skvata, to splash, skvata. Norwegian bokmal skvete. Audio, Southern England. Let's see. Squander. You've squandered the wonders of the squander. To waste. Okay, so squander. Very interesting. So that's interesting, right? Word of the day is of unknown origin. Okay, squander. Squander. What's in a squander ball? Damn, that's a deep cut. Now you could, if you're a listener, you could really show your ass about your age if you do or do not know the Wonder Ball reference I just made. Main segment, we do not have a main segment today, so that's fine. We have other stuff to talk about. Grinds My Gears segment. Oh, okay, here we go. So this is a segment where I talk about things that grind my gears, if you're confused about this. By the way, how are you doing? Are you having a good time listening to the podcast? Okay, feel free to write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. Let me know what you're thinking of the podcast. I was told by management to mention the email. They said, okay, you don't want to read. Fine. You want to save reading the emails until the end because it's the payoff. Well, you at least have to mention early on that you will be doing that because people don't listen to the end. Okay. So yeah, management's been riding my behind about that. Because they said we're not getting enough people writing in. I said it's fine. You know what I mean? I said it's completely fine. It doesn't matter at all. We don't need people to write in. It's never been a necessary. It's a beautiful part of the podcast, but it's not necessary. You know what I mean? And they say it is necessary and your job depends on it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So these are the sorts of things I deal with. We're going to get into similar things later in the episode. Yeah, I'm taking a coffee sip. Sorry, my boss is just like giving me such a hard time. Okay, Grinds My Gears segment. Let's see. So, Grinds My Gears segment. Are we still recording? Yep. Okay, Grinds My Gears segment is this week when people write the word cringy without the E. Okay, to me, cringy is C-R-I-N-G-E-Y. If you write C-R-I-N-G-Y, that's not cringy. That's cringy. That's cringy. And it's not a word. So, to me, cringy. Should we look this one up just since we're doing this, apparently, a very linguistic episode? Okay, let me look it up, I guess, because I did just make this up. So I might as well just look it up, see what other people think. Okay, 1 second. Cringy. Etymology. So you always have to type in etymology so Google knows, okay, shit, he's serious. You know what I mean? When I type in etymology, Google goes, fuck, he's serious. He wants to understand this word. He's not just randomly looking up the word. Okay, let's look at Wiktionary again to kind of keep it consistent. Okay, but this is the word cringe. Wow, it's a pretty, okay, alternative forms. Here we go. Cringingly. Cringe-tastic. Come on. Are you kidding? They don't even have cringy here. Oh, here it is. Oh my God. Okay. Alternative forms, EY, but it doesn't say EY. So the Wiktionary entry for the word in question that we're talking about is spelled what I would call the wrong way. Cringy. It's spelled cringy, okay? That's what the Wiktionary entry is, okay? It's spelled cringy. But if you scroll down, alternative forms, cringy, spelled correctly, and actually, one of the alternative forms is cringe -y, and the other one is cringy, EY. So that's, oh wait, it rhymes. Here we go. This will determine it if it rhymes. Cringy. Oh, cringe. Wait, that doesn't determine anything. Okay, so, okay, most cringy. Okay, so I guess this is good. This is perfect. You know, it wouldn't actually be good for Wiktionary to agree with me. Because the whole idea of the Grinds My Gears segment is it's me against the world. And it's me just, just yapping on and being like, hey, you know what I mean? So it's good, actually. I don't care. Wiktionary is run by the police. So I don't even care. It's run by the government and it's run by NASA. And so, no, I don't care at all. Cringy is spelled EY. I don't care if you could make a good argument against it. My ears are closed because it just doesn't look right. Cringy. Oh, cringy. That sounds like a little candy you would eat. So give me a break, and I know. Okay. So chess segment is up next. This is an optional segment. Not all these segments are optional. I'm allowed to say that I'm not getting into the contract negotiations. I'm allowed to say that though on the podcast. So I do actually have some stuff I want to talk about today because there is this big New York Magazine article about the Hans Niemann guy who I've talked about a lot on the podcast because he was sort of at the center of this chess scandal that happened a couple of years ago. Basically, it started with him just he had this reputation as like a brash player who would like be kind of full of himself and sometimes rude, and he was a streamer as well, and he had a reputation for just being a little bit, he's a streamer, being a little bit rude or annoying. And there were these incidents of him like I don't know, like not wanting to pay like a $10 entry fee to a tournament for charity because he's a grandmaster, and like there were just like these situations that made him look not good. And then like he would, be in these major tournaments once in a while, and when he would be interviewed, he'd be like, the chess speaks for itself. And so that's what he was known for. And then he sort of got really lucky to get into this major tournament, the Sinkefeld Cup, where Magnus Carlsen, a top-rated player, not the world champion, but the top-rated player, and then a bunch of other top players play in this tournament. Like, it's a super tournament. And so Hans was lucky to be there. Usually there's a few guys who are lucky to be there, and he was one of them. He actually was just in it because one of the guys who would have sort of been lucky to be there, not really, Ray Robson. I mean, he deserves to be there, but it's just like, whatever. Anyways, he like dropped out at the last minute, so Hans got in. Anyways, Hans ended up beating Magnus in that tournament. Magnus felt like Hans might have cheated because his behavior was weird, and he has a reputation for having cheated in the past, just on online tournaments, but still that's pretty significant. I don't think he's ever been caught or even like suspected significantly of cheating in an in-person tournament, but I could be wrong about that. But still, cheating in online tournaments is extremely serious when you're a grandmaster or a serious chess player. It's serious anyways, but if you're just an amateur, it's not a big deal. But if you're like a serious chess player, you're cheating at your job, and that's a huge deal. There's money in these tournaments. There's rating points. You get status. He there was this whole situation where when he was called out, he admitted, this was during a tournament that he's continuing to play the Singlefield Cup. Magnus drops out of the tournament and Hans continues to play it. Magnus drops out to protest the tournament. And like, there are legitimate problems with these tournaments. They error the games like the instant they're happening. They live stream the game, so that could really help someone cheat if they had someone else watching the live stream and communicating with them via a very small device that wouldn't be detected. They scan the players, but only at these high tournaments and with devices that potentially might not even capture something that a player would have on them. So there's a lot of legitimate complaints where cheating could be very, very possible. And I find it pretty interesting. It does just get into themes that we like talk about in the Better Call Saul videos and stuff, where it's like, the means to an end sort of mentality, and the idea, like what sort of mentality people use to justify their cheating. And so Hans is in this tournament and Magnus drops out, and he's sort of interviewed about it the next few days after some of the games. And, he would give these really long sort of rambling responses where he would sort of partially admit to having cheated. He admitted to having cheated like twice or something in tournaments where I think he said that no money was involved, which by the way doesn't really matter when you're a serious chess player anyways, because you're still gaining status and serious benefits from cheating. And I also do think money was involved. So later, chess.com, the website where a lot of these tournaments took place, released a report that accused him of cheating in about 100 games in all kinds of situations. And they even really were extra and over the top and sort of accused him of or sort of were studying his in-person playing, but said they thought he probably hadn't cheated or didn't have evidence of him cheating. And it's why'd you study that? You're an online chess website. That's not your job. You don't have to do that. And this all ended up, so he ended up suing chess.com and Magnus and Hikaru Nakamura, a streamer and chess player who talked about it. And it was all settled. I don't even remember. I think it was settled, but Hans, it's so complicated. I don't remember the details, but all I can tell you is Hans didn't really lose the situation. Even though he didn't win the case, I don't know. He's sort of everyone lost, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Everyone lost, so Hans sort of brought them down to his level. But I will never like him until he takes accountability for what he did, because he ended up walking back. In these lawsuits he filed, he walked back a lot, basically all the stuff he had admitted in the interviews. So it was clear to me that he was just not trustworthy, in my opinion. So anyways, the New York Magazine wrote an article about it, about how Hans is doing now. It says, Chess Brat. A year after an outrageous scandal, the Grandmaster Hans Niemann has been kinda sorta vindicated. So how is he more disliked than ever? That's a good headline by Jen Weisner. Weixner. And, okay, so I don't know what I want to read from this. They talk about Hans Niemann. He got an ear infection. It's a cool way to start the article. Okay. So he did video call interviews with this journalist. And I guess I should have read the article before doing this podcast, right? Because it's I don't... But yeah, it's interesting to me that he did that. He said to this journalist, he said, I certainly have much grander plans for vindication than one tournament, he said, smirking and swiveling in a high-backed gaming chair. His idol is Bobby Fischer. Yeah, I've talked about that. Yeah, and he does these regular YouTube videos, which is really funny. And then, so I really do hope for the best for Hans Niemann. I just think he's a little bit unstable and he's a young person. And I don't know. It's just kind of weird to see someone gaining so much attention in a kind of negative way. Okay, I'm just going to scroll to the end because a lot of this is recapping stuff I've already talked about here. When he was about eight, this is the middle. When he was about 8 years old, Hans Niemann decided he was a, quote, super genius. He took an IQ test that could not measure his intelligence because its scale stopped at 145. I became quite arrogant after that, he told me. Ay, man. That's like a crisis of role models, I guess. His father, a home builder, lost $10 million in the 2008 financial crisis and filed for bankruptcy. Wow. And then they moved to the Netherlands because his mom worked for a European company. Wow. Oh, and the IQ test was after that. Okay. And he enrolled in a gifted school. Wow. It's interesting. I mean, does he have siblings? Hold on. I don't know. Whatever. I guess, yeah. I mean, I just think the whole idea of prodigy and genius is an enormous red flag, frankly. I really think it doesn't help people to think of themselves that way. But I guess I'm wrong, because I guess in reality it motivates people. But it comes with such a cost. I think there's better ways to motivate yourself. And personally, I'm way beyond that. And in my art that I make, and I would never try to think of myself in this, like, to me, it's just a delusion of grandeur to try to think of yourself as like above other people. We're all just different, and you can take pleasure in having your own like obsessive interests and passions. But I think like a desire to sort of like stand out is something that I don't know. I'm a little suspicious of sometimes. Like there's a healthy degree of it, and then there's like an amount that feels like it's really just unhealthy to me. And yeah, I don't know. I would say like Hans is, he's in like the top 100 players in the world, and he plays in like, now he's lucky to be in super tournaments, but he might work his way up to where he's a regular in super tournaments. I mean, he's a good player, but there's no, even if he becomes world champion, I mean, I don't personally think it would justify his attitude. I don't see how that would justify it. And I mean, I don't really even like Magnus Carlsen's attitude, and he's way more classy. And he at least he probably is just as arrogant as Hans Niemann, but he has like more sort of European like repression. He doesn't have the Hans Niemann American like my problem is your problem attitude. By the way, I just randomly listened back because I'll stop recording every now and then and just like make sure it's all going well. And when I did that, I just randomly listened back. When I said Wonder Ball earlier, it sounded like I said Wonder Wall. So you might have thought I was doing a Wonder Wall reference. And you're like, what? Those are not lyrics of Wonderwall. Wonder, what's in a wonder wall? Has anyone done that joke? Because that's funny. Like, imagine someone sitting down with an acoustic guitar and playing like a really good like classical version of that commercial's theme, and then singing Wonderwall, like singing wonder, 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 what's in a wonder wall? It doesn't really. The joke is confusing. It's like a misdirection in multiple directions, and it leaves one quite confused. Anyway, so Hans Niemann, all press is good press. So another chess thing I wanted to talk about is so I talked a bunch of episodes ago, or not that many, 5 or 10. Just some random quote Magnus Carlsen had done in an interview. So Magnus Carlsen, former world chess champion, he gives interviews a lot, and sometimes he'll say things and it's news and stuff. So he said something about Ding, who is Ding Liren, the current world chess champion. And Ding Liren he didn't beat Magnus for the title. He actually beat Jan Nepomniachtchi because Magnus abdicated the title. And so the top two from the candidates tournament battled it out. And so Ding also, I mentioned Hans was lucky. Ding was lucky to make it into the candidates, even though he did deserve it. There's a weird scheme to get into the candidates, and so he wasn't going to make it. And then he was lucky because Sergei Karyakin supported the Russian invasion of Ukraine very publicly. And so he was barred from his spot, which I don't remember how he got that. It was what, like that? Yeah, it was like the highest rated. It was the next highest rated player who wasn't already qualified. I don't know how he maintained his. I think he didn't play a lot, But also, there's also been speculation in the past about his Grandmaster title and whether he purchased it to get it quicker and stuff. But I don't know anything about that. Anyways, I don't like Sergei Karyakin because I don't think publicly supporting one country invading another is a good look. So I thought it was cool that he lost his spot, and then Ding Liren got it, who I think is super great and deserved it more. And he ended up coming in second. And so he and Jan Nepomniachtchi battled it out for the title. Ding is world chess champion. And so Magnus, in an interview a month ago or something, 2 months ago, he said that in some random quote, he said that Ding Liren was like broken because I guess Ding's played poorly in recent tournaments since getting the title. He said Ding is broken, which is, I would say rude, but, I guess he gets to say whatever he wants. So anyways, Ding responded, I think twice actually. We have 2 responses from Ding Liren. So Ding Liren, Chinese chess player, super chill, very, very like focused on his own mental health and self-improvement, and just very really like a beautiful, delicate flower of a human being. Just an absolutely amazing soul. I love his vibe. Talk about ego. This is a guy who does not bring much ego to the table. And I love his vibe, and I want him to be world champion. I hope he wins again when he plays Gukesh this year. So in this interview recently, they asked him, I was wondering what you thought of the comment from Magnus that becoming the world champion had, quote, permanently broken you. Wow, I didn't realize he said permanently. Magnus is a real piece of shit for some of the stuff he says, honestly. He should be ashamed of himself. And he should probably take World Chess Champion out of his Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube bios and stop being a loser. But anyway, so Ding Liren responded to that quote. He tried to state the truth. He said what he feels. After the World Championship, it was a very difficult time for me. At first, I was exhausted by the rigors of competing at the World Championship. Then I was ill. But now I can say that I have recovered from the illness. But still, my strength is not back to my best version. Okay, so then there was another interview where I think this is in the Times of India. And there's this interesting interview. And hold on, I'm just going to play the one part. Say the one part. 1 second. Oh, okay. Okay, here we go. Yeah. He said in response to this point to the Times of India, he said, so the article, it's kind of weird. I have to say it as the article says it. The article says he had a series of bad results about Ding, which led the 5-time world champion Carlsen. Oh, notice how they don't say world chess champion. Oh, interesting. Oh, because all those Reddit comments I talked about on the last episode telling me that it was fine for Magnus to call himself world chess champion. That's interesting. Why does the Times of India say 5-time world champion instead of world chess champion? Gosh, wow. Was I right about everything? Okay, interesting. So it says, it led the 5-time world champion Carlsen to make a remark that Ding is, quote, permanently broken. Ding said, quote, well, I'm getting repaired, before adding, after the tournament, the world championship he means, which is a match, not a tournament. Come on, Ding. He says, after the match, I was uncomfortable and nervous. The doctor said I had some psychological problems. Now I can see that I'm nearly fully recovered from the illness. I think playing chess online helped me a lot in recovering. I feel better after winning every game. Also, I have been playing table tennis with my father, and it has been a relief. It refreshes my mind. At one point, the situation was quite serious, but I'm getting better day by day. Damn, dang. I hope Ding fucking has friends, yo. He seems like such a chill guy. I would be best friends with Ding. I hope he has friends. He's probably such a cool guy. Okay, well, anyways, he's getting repaired, and, Magnus, why don't you keep his name out of your mouth until you fix your social media bios? Okay, so that's the chess segment. Quite a good chess segment. Sorry, I'm having to lean in when I'm going to my dock here. Well, how about we start the desk section? So the desk section is a section containing numerous segments, all different desks. So let's start with the art desk. So here's an article about art. King Charles's portrait. Did y'all see this? Did y'all hear about this? King Charles III, who I don't know if that's his first name, King. That's kind of an unusual first name. I'll just call him Mr. Charles for short. Mr. Charles had someone come paint his portrait, and it was funny. So yeah, I'm talking about the guy who calls himself king of what is it, France, England, the United England or something. So it's funny, like this royal portrait is kind of flabbergasting and beautiful art, and I think a lot of people have been talking about it because it's shocking that it's like portraying the quote unquote king, the guy who calls himself king, it's just all red, so it's apparently very bloody. It just brings to mind blood and violence and death, and it's shocking that that's the first official portrait. You know, I hate even calling him king. It's such a weird thing to even say because it's just absurd. I mean, I love that quote. I forget if it's Hegel or someone else who was like, an insane person, or like if someone doesn't think, or sorry, if someone thinks, if someone's not, hold on. Okay, because it's a good quote. Okay. Nope, that is not it. Nope. Okay, maybe it's not Hegel. Anyways, the quote is like something about like, oh, if you're it's so hard to say. The insane man is someone who like thinks he's king, and he's no less insane if he's actually king. Basically, is the point. Yeah. So I like that quote. To me, it's just a wild concept, and we should absolutely not have royalty in this day and age. But it is fascinating for the official portrait to be done in such a style. It's really quite a good painting. It's hard to look at just because the face of the guy, Mr. Charles, is just it just kind of has so many negative associations in the mind. But the portrait, I mean, you can tell it was a rough experience sitting in the same room with this Mr. Charles guy. So that's kind of reflected in the painting. Imagine Charles getting in his little suit for the portrait, sitting, oh, I'm going to go put on my little suit with all my medallions that I earned from hanging out on Little St. James or whatever. Okay, and then there's another article here. What is this? Oh, this is funny. Okay, so another portrait of a rich person. Gina Reinhardt, a mining magnate. This is in Business Insider. Gina Reinhardt, a mining magnate worth $22 billion, wants her portrait removed from an Australian gallery. Wait a second. So this might not be a commissioned portrait. I mean, this is like gotta not be. Like this is. I mean, it's quite a good painting, but it's like very clearly making her look ugly. Is the best way to put it. But I love it because I love ugly art. So it's Australia's richest woman has demanded an unflattering painting of her be taken down. Yeah, I'm sure. Wait, it keeps calling it a portrait. Yeah, it's a portrait even if she didn't sit for it. Yeah, she didn't sit for this. She didn't commission this portrait. But the National Gallery of Australia and the artist have rejected her request. Good for them. That's great. So the richest woman in Australia wants this painting. It's really funny. It's a great painting. It makes her look horrible. It's oh my god! It's one of 20 paintings depicting Reinhardt alongside Australian and international figures, including Queen Elizabeth. Oh, okay. So the artist just has that style of distorting things, of course, and like tough shit. No, I'm sorry. I don't think it's 20 of her. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Oh, maybe it is. The sentence is confusing. It says, it is one of 20 other paintings depicting Reinhardt alongside Australian and... I mean, I guess there are 20 paintings of her. Because that's certainly how the sentence reads. Okay, so... She reportedly approached the gallery director personally to ask for the portrait to be removed. According to the Herald, Hancock Prospecting has said the gallery is, quote, doing the bidding of the Chinese Communist Party by showing her in an unflattering light. Whoa. That came from left center field, actually. Deep left center field. The gallery, quote, welcomes the public having a dialogue about its displays, it said in a statement shared with Business Insider. Oh, wow. Okay. The artist said, quote, people don't have to like my paintings, but I hope they take the time to look and think, why has this Aboriginal bloke painted these powerful people? What is he trying to say? Oh, interesting. That is an interesting question. Maybe he's trying to say that they are ugly people in their behavior. Their behavior is ugly, and so you must represent them ugly to emphasize that. Okay, so that's it for the art desk. And let's see, we have, the Reginald desk. So if you've been listening a while, you obviously know Reginald, the data guy, is an employee who works. Are you kidding? Wow. Since when? Okay. I'm sorry. Reginald is an independent contractor who works in partnership with the Verbal Journal Podcast Corporation. And he is the data guy, as I said. So he will get data and gather it about different things. He has negotiated. I do sound excited. He has negotiated so he negotiated getting a desk segment as part of the desk section. So he has the Reginald desk now. It's pretty new. Might not be around forever. I'm just saying that's just a true, that's just a true thing. A lot of things might not. We're not going to be around forever, Reginald. Don't look at me like that. It's just a segment, and things change. Maybe you'll get multiple segments. One day. I shouldn't have even said that. God damn it! I shouldn't have even said that. Okay. Standing just makes me say things. You know what I mean? Do you understand? Okay. So, anyways, so the Reginald. What was that? Okay, just got a reminder to do the Reginald segment. I'm just kidding. That's not what it was about. Okay, so anyways, so we got this Reginald segment, and he negotiated to have his desk closer to the beginning of the desks section because his desk was previously sort of towards the end. It might have been the last one even. I don't recall. I don't pay attention much. I'm just reading the script. This is all scripted. I just read it. I'm the performer. I'm the talent. Anyways, apparently we're moving the Reginald desk closer to the beginning. So is this close enough for you, Reginald? Second? Okay, so Reginald has some data for us. The length of episodes 63 and episode 64 were much longer than previous episodes. That's interesting. Do you want to tell me like how long they were? I feel like that would be. I mean, do you have that info? Because you're the data guy, and it just says here the lengths of episode 63 and 64 were longer compared to previous episodes. I feel like the data could kind of hit harder if we. Usually, aren't you sort of doing like giving us like specific numbers? There was that whole. You had the whole episode. We were going into all these specific numbers. I don't understand why now. And this happened, I think, last episode too with something. Like, you have all week to prepare. And you just, I feel like something like this shouldn't be happening. And then the next thing I'm supposed to say, episode 63 had parentheses in the title. Has that happened before? Like, is someone supposed to answer that question, Reginald? You're supposed to answer that question. Why are you writing that question in the Google Doc? Like, I'm here reading, like, you're supposed to gather the data. So I'm just kind of not having a hard time with this. It had parentheses in the title. Has that ever happened before? I don't know. Were you expecting me to look it up right now? You think the listeners like when I look something up live on the podcast? Really? Okay, well, that's interesting. I didn't realize that. You have, hey, Reginald, I didn't know that you had sort of there's a method to your clinical insanity, as they say. But an insanity is a little bit harsh. I'm sorry, Reginald. You're not clinically insane. That's not really a common word, even, actually. It's not used in my line of work. Maybe if you worked in like a psychiatric ward of a hospital. But even then, I doubt the word insane or sane is used because it's more like spiritual than psychological. But or it's like old fashioned is just what I'm trying to say. It's not spiritual. Okay, so anyways, all right, I'll take a second and look into this. Okay, 1 second. Let's take a little break. 1 second. I'll look it up, but I can't look it up live, Reginald. I understand maybe sometimes people like that. I don't think they'd like this. This is because you didn't know I'd be standing today, but I have to be away from the mic. So I'm just going to, yeah, okay, I'll just do that. Okay. Oh, yeah, no, I definitely had to pause that and spend some time doing it off mic. Wow, Reginald, I got to say, man, I kind of have a new respect for what you do. I gave it, that was like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or 10 minutes or something. But that's work, man. You do. Wow. Now that I know what it's actually like to like delve into the data, Reginald, I gotta say, this is a whole new chapter of our relationship. I've really resented you. You know, I've been here longer at VJP, and I just, you know, you're like the new. It's like when a new child is born in a family, and all the siblings are worried that they're not going to be fed. You know, that's sort of like me when you joined the podcast here. So I'm sorry though. I see. Okay, so let me tell the listeners what we're dealing with here. So regarding these points, so yes, last episode and the episode before, 63 and 64, were very long episodes. They were both over an hour. Only 11 episodes, including those two, in the year and a half that I've been doing the podcast have been over an hour. So only 11 episodes out of, this is the 65th. So 11 out of 65. Actually, oh, you're right, Reginald. We should give people that. Hold on. 11 out of 65. So, Reginald, good point. That's 17% of the episodes have been over an hour. So that's a pretty low percentage. To have two in a row like that is pretty wild. We're getting pretty long here today, but I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I'm going to see. Wow. We got a lot more to talk about. I might punt some of this stuff to the next episode. Wait. Anyways, so let me continue with the data before I forget what I'm doing here. So, okay. So 11 episodes. So that's cool. Rare club. What have the other episodes been? Well, episode 25, the news episode, was an hour and 7 minutes and 33 seconds. I love talking about news. That's my specialty. Episode 24, the first public episode, an hour and 7 minutes and 16 seconds, because, you know, I'm trying to show off for the public. Episode 23, Piano Life episode, an hour and 4 minutes, 18 seconds. I played piano for the first few minutes of that one. You know what I mean? So it's a filler. I hate the piano. That was just for filler. 20, the DSM episode, an hour and 1 minute. That's just barely made the cut. Episode 17, Pod Travaganza, 1 hour and 41 minutes and 52 seconds. Apparently, I had nothing better to do that day because that is crazy long, an hour and 41 minutes. Longest episode. Episode 12, Science and Art episode, an hour and 7 minutes. And episode 7, Discord Identity Crisis episode, an hour and 3 minutes. And then first episode after I started watching Breaking Bad, an hour and 4 minutes. And then Neuroscience episode, an hour and 11 minutes. So last episode, episode 64, was the fourth longest episode, an hour and 9 minutes and 27 seconds. And the one before that, episode 63, at 1 hour and 6 minutes and 27 seconds, was the seventh longest. So very cool. And the previous episode, episode 64, would have been the third longest instead of the fourth longest, but it missed out by 8 seconds to the Science and Art episode. It missed out by, to the Science and Art episode, I think, if I'm reading my own handwriting correctly. And yeah, that's why we need this stuff typed up, Reginald. If you could just do this throughout the week and type it out. No, it's fine. We're friends now. I'm sorry. Okay, we're friends now. So that's cool. And then the other question that Reginald brought up, the parentheses in the title, no, that was not the first time I did it. It's episode 63 where I talk about, where I put the parentheses in the title, surprise public episode. I had done it with part 1 and part 2 of the news episode 25 and 26, because part 1, part 2 was in parentheses. Then episode 43, featuring Snoop Dogg, was in parentheses. Episode 48, public number 2 episode, I put 3 exclamation points in parentheses to try to hype people up. It did not work. And then episode 56, the desk episode, parentheses, Mega Saturday edition. So No. Episode 63, sixth time we've used parentheses. Not that rare, but that was fun to look up, and I appreciate the journey that we all went on. I think we're all having a great time. You know what I mean? Okay, so yeah, we're going to skip the media desk and the workers' rights desk segments this week, but we're not even done with the Reginald desk, actually. So, as part of this is not really, this is not part of the Reginald desk. I don't know why this got grouped in. But, you might have noticed there are timestamps now. If you listen to the podcast on YouTube, there's timestamps. So if you listen on Patreon, you don't care, great. If you do want to check out the timestamps, click to the YouTube link under each episode where I put it. And if you're on YouTube, check out the timestamps if you want. I realized that that's a big part of YouTube domination and podcast domination. So I'm doing that. Synchronicity stamps, if you know what I mean. Okay. But yeah, one other Reginald thing is, I'm sorry, Reginald. I don't know why it got mixed in the section with you. I don't know, man. We're friends now. Come on. By the way, Reginald was actually, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to call you out here, dude, but I'm just told, this is in the script. Reginald was giving, not given, he was giving old bad data when saying the thing about the Dodgers having 3 of the top 5 home run hitters, but 0 of the top 5 RBI hitters. It was just old data. It was like from a few days before. By the Sunday when I said that, which I don't remember, honestly, if that was last week or the week before. It was a fascinating segment. I just don't remember because it was just so fascinating. I don't remember. But actually, if we want to know the current status of that, because it was actually 2, they had 2 of the top 5 home run hitters instead of 3, and 1 of the top 5 RBI hitters instead of 0 by the time when I recorded that podcast episode. So it was wrong. No, I'm not saying it became wrong after, Reginald. It was wrong when I did it. Like you gave me. I mean, it was old data by the time the podcast aired. So in the future, we don't need to be doing that. It's still slightly, no, it's not interesting. But if we look right now, top 5 home run hitters, we have no players from the Dodgers, actually. Shohei and Teoscar are down at numbers 7 and 11. And RBI hitters, top 5. Yeah, we have no Dodgers. Teoscar Hernandez in number 9, Shohei 13. Okay, so it's not that interesting anymore. I just thought it was interesting, at first, but it's really not. So try not to do that again, please. So skipping the media desk, though we actually have a lot to talk about. That's why we're skipping it. There's a lot of different media segments. I'm going to be trying to make up for kind of a shitty media segment a few weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago now that it was a really bad media segment. So media desk segment, I'm sorry. So we're going to be doing a better media desk segment next episode, but we don't have time for it now. Nor do we have time for the workers' rights desk segment, but there's a lot to talk about there. Fantasy desk really quick. Amazing finish to the week last week. I was totally going to lose my matchup, and then just like in the last game of the night on Sunday, got the points I needed. It was a crazy matchup at one point where I was tied with the other guy I was playing against. So all our players had the exact same number of points over the week. So we're tied, and there's just a few more at-bats to go, and one of them is my pitcher against his hitter. So it's like literally whatever happens in this at-bat determines the week-long matchup. And my pitcher, Yu Darvish, got a strikeout to Ozuna, the fantastic hitter. And I got the win. So that was amazing. I am going to lose this week. Okay. Mailbag segment. Let's check that out before we get out of here. So let's see. People like to write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. We get a lot of letters, and we did not get any today. So, okay. I'm done. We're done here. Thank you so much for listening, I guess. And actually, you should be thanking me, honestly. But, you're welcome. I can't say you're welcome. But I guess we're having a mutually beneficial interaction here. Or, it's not really an interaction, but... So thank the nature of reality for facilitating that interaction. And I'll talk to you next week, most likely. So, there's always a chance something will change, and I'll be like, oh, I can't do the podcast today because, I have to like save a child from a burning building or something, so there's always that possibility. But we did it. And next one's episode 66. So maybe we'll do like a Satan theme or something. I don't know. No? Okay, I got to talk to my boss about that one, actually. Thank you. And I said thank you. There, I said it. Okay. Goodbye. This is a podcast or something like that.